elegant charity gala in Vienna. Crystal chandeliers casting rainbows across marble floors. Guests in designer gowns and expensive suits mingling with champagne glasses. In the crowded ballroom, a tiny girl tugs on the hand of a woman in a stunning evening dress. Her clear voice rings out, "You're gonna marry my daddy!" The entire room erupts in mocking laughter. All eyes turn toward me, Lukas, 38, single dad working as catering staff tonight. The woman freezes. Isabella, 30, millionaire investment mogul known for her ice-cold reputation. In that moment, her reaction left everyone absolutely stunned. I'm Lukas Bauer, 38 years old, single dad from Austria, former firefighter who now works catering jobs to support my daughter and keep food on our table. 3 defining features: tall and lean from years of physical work, messy brown hair that never stays in place, and calloused hands that tell the story of a man who works with them every day. My 7-year-old daughter Anna is everything to me. Mischievous, innocent, full of life. She often comes with me to work events because I can't afford a babysitter, and she has no one else to watch her. We live in an old apartment in Vienna's outskirts. Damp walls, leaky ceiling, radiators that barely work in winter. But every surface is covered with Anna's colorful drawings, her masterpieces that transform our humble space into something magical. Our morning ritual. I make cheap instant coffee while Anna draws pictures for me before school. Today's creation shows a family of 3 holding hands under a rainbow. She always draws families, even though it's just the 2 of us. That evening, I was working a high society charity gala at the Imperial Hotel. Austria's wealthiest gathered to write checks and feel good about themselves. Anna sat quietly in a corner chair I'd arranged for her, coloring books spread across a small table. But curiosity got the better of her, as it always does. She wandered through the ballroom, wide-eyed at the crystal chandeliers and flowing gowns. Then she spotted her, Isabella Richter, the famous millionaire investment mogul, 30 years old, devastatingly beautiful, and notorious for her cold, calculating business reputation. Anna marched up to Isabella with the fearless confidence only children possess. "You're going to marry my daddy," she announced loud enough for half the ballroom to hear. Laughter rippled through the crowd like a wave. Mocking, condescending laughter from people who found a poor child's innocence amusing. Isabella's face flushed red, but she didn't pull her hand away from Anna's tiny grip. I rushed over, my heart pounding with embarrassment and protective instincts. "I'm so sorry," I stammered, reaching for Anna. "She doesn't understand." But Isabella's eyes stopped me cold. Instead of anger or disgust, I saw something unexpected. Curiosity, maybe even warmth. "Why did you say that, little one?" Isabella knelt down to Anna's eye level, her voice surprisingly gentle. Anna smiled with absolute certainty. "Because you have kind eyes, and Daddy needs someone who smiles." The symbolic object that would define our story appeared in that moment. Anna's family drawing slipped from her backpack and fluttered to the floor under the chandelier light. Isabella picked it up, studying the crayon figures with intense focus. "Is this your family?" she asked softly. "It's going to be," Anna replied with 7-year-old wisdom, "when we find the right person to complete it." Authentic detail for Act 1. A crumpled grocery receipt from Billa showing brought €180 for bread, still damp with nervous sweat in my uniform pocket. The receipt represented everything about our reality, counting every euro, making every purchase matter, living paycheck to paycheck in a world of people who spent more on single drinks than we spent on food all week. Isabella stood slowly, still holding Anna's drawing. "Your daddy works very hard," she observed, looking at my catering uniform and tired face. "He's the best daddy in the world," Anna declared loyally, "but he forgets to smile sometimes." The crowd had moved on to other conversations, but something significant had shifted in that moment under the Vienna chandeliers. Isabella handed Anna's drawing back with careful reverence. "This is beautiful," she said quietly. "You're a very talented artist." As the evening wound down and I prepared to take Anna home to our small apartment, I caught Isabella watching us from across the ballroom. Her expression was thoughtful, almost lonely. The foundation was set, the unexpected connection made, the first thread in a tapestry that would change 3 lives forever. The next evening, I was cleaning up after another catering event when I found Isabella waiting by the service entrance. She looked different without the formal gala atmosphere, more human somehow, despite her expensive coat and perfect makeup. "I wanted to apologize," she said quietly, "for the way the other guests laughed last night. That wasn't fair to Anna." "You don't need to apologize for other people," I replied, surprised by her presence. "But I wanted to ask, why did Anna say what she said? About marriage?" I sighed, setting down the box of supplies I'd been carrying to my beat-up car. "Anna lost her mother 3 years ago, car accident. Since then, she's been searching, I guess. She thinks every woman she likes might become her new mom." Isabella's face softened with understanding pain. "I'm sorry, that must be incredibly difficult. Anna's resilient, but she has this dream of a complete family. She draws pictures of it constantly. And you? Do you want that too?" The personal question caught me off guard. I want Anna to be happy. Everything else is complicated. Isabella surprised me by laughing, not mockingly, but with genuine warmth. "Complicated is my specialty. I deal with billion-dollar acquisitions and international mergers. But a 7-year-old girl's wisdom stumped me completely." The next Saturday afternoon, Anna and I were at our neighborhood park, a small patch of green space between concrete apartment buildings, when Isabella appeared walking along the path. "Isabella," Anna shouted in Vietnamese accented German, using the respectful term her friend had taught her. Isabella approached hesitantly, clearly out of her element in jeans and a simple sweater instead of business attire. "I was in the neighborhood," she said, which was obviously untrue, given that billionaires don't randomly stroll through working-class Vienna suburbs. "Play with us," Anna demanded, grabbing Isabella's manicured hand and dragging her toward the playground equipment. For the next hour, I watched something magical happen. Isabella, master of boardrooms and financial empires, learned to push a swing properly. She helped Anna across monkey bars with the same intense focus she probably applied to merger negotiations. "Higher, Isabella, higher!" Anna shrieked with delight on the swing. Isabella's laughter was different from her polite social chuckles. This was pure, unguarded joy. Later, as we walked back toward my apartment building, Isabella asked quietly, "Would it be presumptuous if I invited you both to dinner, somewhere nice?" Anna bounced excitedly. "Can we go, Daddy, please?" I hesitated. "Anna, Isabella is a very busy, important person. She probably has—" "I have nothing more important than this," Isabella interrupted softly. That evening, instead of an expensive restaurant, Isabella suggested we cook together at my apartment. She arrived with bags of groceries, high-quality ingredients that cost more than my usual weekly food budget. "I should warn you," she admitted while tying on one of my old aprons. "I've never actually cooked a real meal. I have staff for everything." Anna appointed herself head chef. "Don't worry, Isabella. Daddy taught me and I can teach you." What followed was simultaneously a disaster and the most wonderful evening I'd had in years. Isabella burned the first attempt at pasta sauce. Anna giggled when flour got in Isabella's perfectly styled hair. I found myself laughing more than I had since Anna's mother died. "This is harder than running a board meeting," Isabella admitted, stirring soup with intense concentration. "But more fun," Anna pointed out wisely. Over dinner at our small kitchen table, mismatched chairs and chipped plates, Isabella opened up about her life. "I grew up in boarding schools after my parents divorced. Big houses, expensive everything, but no real family dinners. No one asking about my day or caring if I was happy. Money can buy comfort, but it can't buy connection." Anna listened with the serious attention she gave to her favorite bedtime stories. "That's sad," she said simply, "but you can have family dinners with us now." Isabella's eyes filled with tears she tried to hide. "Anna, sweetheart," I said gently, "Isabella has her own life, her own responsibilities." "But she's lonely," Anna insisted with devastating 7-year-old perception. "And we have room at our table." After Anna went to bed, Isabella and I sat on our small balcony overlooking the city lights. She'd insisted on helping with dishes, learning how to properly wash and dry plates instead of loading everything into a dishwasher. Anna's right, isn't she? Isabella said quietly. I am lonely, incredibly lonely. I have everything money can buy and nothing that actually matters. I shared more of my story. I used to be a firefighter. Loved the job, saved lives, felt like I was making a difference. But the schedules were impossible for single parenting, and the pay wasn't enough. So now I work catering jobs, clean office buildings at night, whatever keeps us afloat. It's not glamorous, but Anna and I are together. The symbolic family drawing had found a place of honor on our refrigerator, held up with mismatched magnets. Isabella noticed it and smiled. She added something, Isabella observed. I looked closer. Anna had drawn a fourth figure in the original family picture, a woman with long dark hair standing next to me. When did she do that? I wondered aloud. Yesterday while you were at work, Isabella said softly. She showed it to me and said it was her wish coming true. That night, as Isabella prepared to leave for her luxury apartment across the city, Anna ran out in her pajamas. Isabella, can you come back tomorrow? Isabella knelt down and hugged Anna tightly. If your daddy says it's okay. Anna looked at me with pleading eyes. Please, Daddy? But even as I nodded agreement, I knew we were walking into complicated territory. Rich women and poor single fathers lived in different worlds. What I didn't realize was that Anna's innocent wish was about to collide with the harsh realities of those different worlds. The gossip started within days. Billionaire Isabella Richter seen slumming with a working-class single father. Austria's investment queen caught playing house with catering staff. Has success made Isabella Richter lose her mind? The headlines were brutal and immediate. Paparazzi photos showed Isabella pushing Anna on swings, walking with us through our modest neighborhood, laughing over our simple dinner table. The board of directors at Richter Investment Group convened an emergency meeting. 12 men in expensive suits questioning Isabella's judgment and demanding explanations for her erratic behavior. Your reputation affects our company's credibility, board member Heinrich Weber declared coldly. This association with service-class individuals damages our premium brand image. Isabella's father, Klaus Richter, founder of the empire she'd inherited, flew in from Zurich specifically to handle what he called this embarrassing situation. I was working a corporate lunch event at the Intercontinental Hotel when Klaus found me in the service hallway. 70 years old, silver-haired, radiating the kind of power that came from decades of ruthless success. You're Lukas Bauer, he stated rather than asked. Yes, sir. 2 security guards flanked him like an insurance policy against contamination from the working class. I know everything about you. Former firefighter, lost your wife in an accident, struggling financially, raising a child alone in substandard housing. He pulled out a leather portfolio filled with documents about my life, financial records, employment history, even Anna's school reports. You're nobody, he continued matter-of-factly. A temporary distraction for a woman going through some kind of midlife crisis. I continued polishing wine glasses, keeping my voice level. I'm Anna's father. That makes me somebody to the person who matters most. Sentiment doesn't pay bills or secure futures, Klaus replied. Let me be clear. This association ends now. You stay away from my daughter, or you'll find your employment opportunities in Vienna very limited. Is that a threat? It's a business reality. That evening, Isabella arrived at our apartment visibly shaken. She'd been crying, her perfect makeup streaked, her usual composure completely shattered. They're making me choose, she told me while Anna played in her room, oblivious to the adult drama unfolding. Choose what? The company or this? You and Anna. My father says if I continue this inappropriate relationship, the board will remove me as CEO. Everything I've built, everything I've worked for, gone because I dared to care about people outside my social class. Anna appeared in the doorway, drawn by Isabella's distressed voice. Isabella, why are you sad? Isabella knelt down, struggling to explain complex adult problems to a 7-year-old. Sometimes grown-ups have to make very hard choices, sweetheart. Anna's response was devastatingly simple. Do you love us? Isabella's voice broke completely. Yes, so much. Then the choice isn't hard, Anna declared with absolute certainty. You choose love. The next day brought the confrontation I'd been dreading. Lukas Richter, accompanied by lawyers and board members, arrived at Isabella's office building. I was there because Isabella had asked me to come. She wanted to make her decision public and final. The conference room was intimidating by design. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Vienna, a table that cost more than I made in a year, portraits of successful Richter family members staring down from oil paintings. Isabella, be reasonable, Klaus began with practiced paternal authority. This man offers you nothing. No social status, no financial security, no intellectual stimulation. He's a waiter with a child and a shabby apartment. What future is that for someone of your caliber? I stood up slowly, my firefighter training kicking in, the same calm I'd used when entering burning buildings. Mr. Richter, you're right about one thing. I can't offer Isabella money or status or a place in high society. But I can offer her something you never could, which is a family that chooses her for who she is, not what she owns. Klaus laughed dismissively. Naive romantic nonsense. One of the board members, Franz Muller, reached for Isabella's arm as if to physically escort her from this unfortunate situation. My protective instincts exploded. Hands off the lady. The movement was pure muscle memory from emergency response training. 3 seconds later, Franz was on the expensive carpet, his tailored suit wrinkled and his dignity bruised. The room fell deadly silent. Isabella stared at me with something like wonder. No one has ever defended me like that. No one has ever seen me as worth defending. She turned to face her father and the board with new steel in her voice. I've made my decision. If keeping my position means losing the first real family I've ever had, then I choose family. Klaus's face turned red with fury. You're throwing away everything, generations of work, billions of dollars. I'm choosing something worth more than money. Isabella walked to her desk and pulled out something that made my heart stop. Anna's original family drawing, carefully framed and sitting beside her computer. This little girl sees something in me that you never did. She sees someone worth loving, not just someone worth using. She handed Klaus the keys to her company car and her corporate credit cards. Keep the empire, father. I'm building something better. But Anna provided the final, decisive moment. She'd been waiting in Isabella's office, and she appeared in the conference room doorway at exactly the right time. She walked directly to Isabella and handed her something precious. A bracelet she'd made from colorful yarn during art class. For you to remember where home is, Anna said simply. Isabella knelt down and let Anna tie the humble bracelet next to her diamond watch. Thank you, sweetheart. I'll never take it off. Klaus stared at the scene with undisguised disgust. This is pathetic. A grown woman choosing fairy tales over reality. When you come to your senses, the door might not be open. As the board members filed out in expensive suits and wounded pride, Isabella made her choice completely public. Gentlemen, this isn't a fairy tale. This is the first real thing I've ever chosen. The confrontation was over, the battle was won, but the real work of building a life together was just beginning. Isabella had chosen love over luxury, family over fortune, authenticity over approval. Now we had to prove that love was enough to bridge the gap between two completely different worlds. The yarn bracelet on Isabella's wrist caught the afternoon light streaming through the conference room windows. A simple craft project from a 7-year-old girl had just changed the course of 3 lives forever. Isabella's departure from Richter Investment Group made international business headlines. Heiress abandons billion-dollar empire for love. Financial analysts called it corporate suicide. Isabella called it the first smart decision she'd made in years. Within a week, she'd moved out of her penthouse apartment and into a modest flat in our neighborhood. Walking distance from Anna's school, close to the small park where we'd first played together, part of the real Vienna where working families actually lived. The transition from boardroom executive to ordinary person wasn't easy. Isabella had never grocery shopped, never figured out public transportation, never done her own laundry. Simple tasks that Anna and I took for granted became learning adventures. "How do you know which apples are good?" Isabella asked seriously during our first supermarket trip together. Anna appointed herself the teacher. "You look for spots and squeeze gently. Mama taught me before she went to heaven." Isabella listened to 7-year-old grocery wisdom with the same intense focus she'd once applied to billion-dollar acquisitions. Our mornings developed a new rhythm. I'd make coffee while Isabella helped Anna with breakfast and school preparations. The sight of a former millionaire carefully braiding a little girl's hair never stopped being surreal and wonderful. Isabella threw herself into learning domestic skills with competitive intensity. She burned the first dozen attempts at scrambled eggs. She flooded our bathroom trying to fix a leaky faucet. She accidentally dyed half her clothes pink during her inaugural laundry experience. "This is harder than managing international portfolios," she admitted after turning pasta into cement-like chunks. "But more rewarding," Anna pointed out with her signature wisdom. Isabella started a small nonprofit foundation focused on single-parent families, using her business expertise and remaining personal savings to help people in situations like mine. Fathers and mothers struggling to balance work and childcare, needing assistance with everything from groceries to school supplies. "I finally understand what wealth is really for," she told me one evening as we reviewed grant applications. "It's not about accumulating power, it's about lifting others up." The foundation's first project was renovating our apartment building's playground. Isabella organized volunteer work days where she showed up in old jeans and actually painted swing sets alongside other parents. Anna loved these community events, finally seeing Isabella integrated into our real world instead of visiting from her distant one. One Saturday afternoon, we were planting flowers in the small garden behind our building. Isabella had insisted on creating beauty in our modest space. Anna was directing the placement of every seed with artistic precision. "Make sure the roses have room to grow big," Anna instructed seriously. "They need space to become beautiful." Isabella knelt in the dirt, her manicured nails now showing the honest wear of actual work. "Is this what family feels like?" she asked me quietly while Anna ran to get more water. "Every day. The ordinary moments that become extraordinary because you're sharing them with people you love." I've never had ordinary moments. Everything in my old life was orchestrated, scheduled, performed for an audience. The media attention gradually died down, replaced by new scandals and fresh gossip. But occasionally, reporters would resurface looking for updates on the millionaire who chose love over money story. Isabella learned to ignore their cameras and intrusive questions. Our happiness didn't require external validation. 1 month after leaving her company, Isabella received an unexpected visitor. Lukas Richter appeared at our apartment building, looking uncomfortable in our working-class neighborhood. Anna answered the door with her usual fearless curiosity. "Are you Isabella's papa?" she asked directly. Klaus stared down at the small girl who had inadvertently triggered his daughter's life transformation. "Yes, I am." "Do you want to see our flowers? Isabella planted them." Before Klaus could object, Anna dragged him to our small garden. Isabella appeared from the kitchen, flour in her hair from another baking experiment, genuine shock on her face. "Father, what are you doing here?" Klaus looked around at our modest surroundings, the small apartment, the second-hand furniture, the walls covered with Anna's artwork and family photos. I wanted to see what was worth destroying everything for. Isabella stood straighter, protective instincts engaged. Nothing was destroyed. Something real was finally built. Anna, oblivious to adult tension, showed Klaus her latest drawing, a detailed picture of our little family, now including Isabella, working in the garden together. "This is us being happy," Anna explained simply. "Isabella used to be sad because she had no family. Now she has us." Klaus studied the crayon masterpiece with unreadable expression. "And you're happy here?" he asked Isabella. "In this simple life?" Isabella looked around at our small apartment filled with laughter, home-cooked meals, bedtime stories, and genuine connection. Happier than I've ever been in my entire life. Klaus spent an awkward hour drinking coffee from mismatched mugs and watching Anna demonstrate various playground techniques. As he prepared to leave, he spoke quietly to Isabella. I still don't understand your choice, but I can see that you're different, more alive somehow. The board voted to buy me out completely. Your trust fund will remain intact, but smaller than it could have been. Isabella smiled. More than enough for what actually matters. As Klaus's expensive car disappeared down our ordinary street, Anna cuddled against Isabella on our second-hand couch. Is he nice now? Anna asked. He's trying to understand, Isabella replied diplomatically. The yarn bracelet Anna had made still circled Isabella's wrist, now joined by a simple engagement ring I'd saved months to afford. We were building something that couldn't be bought or sold. Something that would last longer than any corporate empire or investment portfolio. We were building home. 1 year after Isabella walked away from her billion-dollar inheritance, Anna created her masterpiece, a detailed drawing showing our family of 3, holding hands under a bright Vienna sky. Behind us, the small apartment building we called home. Around us, the garden we'd planted together. Above us, the word forever, written in Anna's careful 7-year-old handwriting. She presented it at breakfast with ceremonial importance. This is for after you and Daddy get married, she announced. So everyone knows we're a real family forever. Isabella stared at the artwork, tears threatening to spill onto her morning coffee. Anna, sweetheart, are you absolutely sure this is what you want? Even if it means Isabella can never be rich again? Anna looked at her like the question was ridiculous. Money can't buy hugs, she said with devastating simplicity, and you give the best hugs. That evening after Anna was asleep in her bed covered with stuffed animals and fairy tale books, Isabella and I sat on our small balcony overlooking the city lights of working-class Vienna. I need to ask you something important, Isabella said quietly. My heart started racing. What? Are you sure about this? About us? Because once we're married, there's no going back to separate lives. Anna will expect permanence. I'll expect permanence. I took her hands, feeling the calluses she'd developed from gardening and cooking and learning to live authentically. Isabella, this past year watching you discover who you really are when nobody's performing for approval. Seeing how you love Anna like she's your biological daughter. Seeing how you've built a life based on connection instead of accumulation. I've never been more certain of anything. Even when money gets tight, even when Anna needs things we can't immediately afford, even when your father keeps offering you chances to return to the corporate world? I laughed, especially then, because those are the moments that prove what love actually means. Choosing each other when it's difficult, not just when it's easy. The next morning brought Anna's favorite surprise. She woke to find both of us making breakfast together in our tiny kitchen. Isabella had finally mastered pancakes, and I was brewing coffee that didn't taste like construction equipment. Family meeting, Anna declared, climbing onto her chair with serious authority. What's the meeting about? Isabella asked, playing along. Planning the wedding. I have ideas. Anna produced a notebook filled with elaborate 7-year-old wedding plans, flowers everywhere. A cake shaped like our apartment building, all her friends invited, dancing in the community garden we'd helped create, and Daddy has to wear a tie, Anna added importantly, because marriages are fancy. Isabella studied the notebook with CEO-level attention. These are excellent plans, very thorough. Can we do it soon? Anna asked hopefully. Before winter comes and the flowers sleep? Isabella looked at me across our small table. What do you think? Ready to make it official before the flowers sleep? I reached into my pocket and pulled out something I'd been carrying for weeks. A simple ring made from silver and a small diamond that wasn't impressive by Millionaire standards, but represented months of careful saving. Isabella Richter, will you marry a former firefighter who burns dinner and lives in a tiny apartment? Will you marry a former millionaire who's still learning how to fold fitted sheets? Yes, she said without hesitation. Yes to all of it. Anna cheered and immediately began planning the reception menu. 3 months later, we were married in Vienna's smallest church, surrounded by firefighter colleagues, neighborhood families, and a few reporters who still found our story compelling. Anna served as flower girl, maid of honor, and wedding planner, all in one. She wore a dress Isabella had sewn herself, imperfect stitching but made with perfect love. As sunset painted Vienna's sky in brilliant colors, 3 people who had found each other against all odds settled into their evening routines as an officially recognized family. Anna practiced piano while Isabella and I cleaned dishes together, bumping hips and stealing kisses like newlyweds. The yarn bracelet still circled Isabella's wrist, now joined by a simple wedding band and the beautiful chaos of a life built on choosing love over logic. Outside our window, the community garden bloomed with flowers we'd planted together. Tomorrow would bring new adventures and daily challenges. But tonight, in a small apartment filled with laughter and piano music and the sound of a family being lived rather than performed, we were exactly where we belonged. Complete, connected, home. True wealth isn't measured in bank accounts, but in the people who choose to stay when staying gets difficult. If you found yourself in this story, subscribe to HA Stories and share what choosing family over fortune means to you. Subscribe if you see yourself here. Subscribe, HA Stories.